All right, let's talk about APIs. You know that sinking feeling, right? When you're just staring at a broken request, an error message that makes absolutely no sense, and you feel completely lost? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to flip that script. We're going to transform that confusion into total confidence, making you the person your team really relies on.
I'll never forget it. I was on my first big project, and a key feature I was responsible for was just completely broken. My heart was pounding, I was sweating, and I had absolutely no clue why. I spent hours convinced I was just a bad developer. I mean, I tore my code apart, I questioned every single line I'd written, but you know what the real problem was? It wasn't my logic, it wasn't my code, it was one tiny little misplaced API parameter that I just didn't understand. And look, let's be real. In the 2026 job market, with AI changing the game, you cannot afford to get tripped up by the fundamentals. That one little mistake almost cost me big time. But it also led to this huge aha moment. A super simple system for thinking about APIs that changed everything. And today, I'm going to share that exact system with you. So my breakthrough came when I just stopped trying to memorize all this complicated stuff. Instead, I reframed the whole problem into something we all get, like, instantly. And this is it. This is the secret right here. An API request is just like a well-addressed letter. That's all it is. Every single confusing part, the headers, the parameters, the body, it all maps perfectly to sending a letter through the mail. Once you see this, you'll never be confused by an API request again. I promise. Okay, so here's the whole system in one shot. Just think of it this way. The headers, that's just the envelope. It gives all the context. The parameters, those are your special delivery instructions. And the body, well, that's the actual message inside the letter. Let's break each one down. First things first, the envelope itself. This is what gives the server all the background info it needs before it even tries to open up and read your message. So technically speaking, headers are just pairs of keys and values. But don't let that intimidate you. Just think of them as labels on the outside of the envelope. They're not the message, but they tell the server exactly how to handle what's inside. And these might sound fancy, but they're so simple. Content type is just you saying, hey, the letter inside is written in JSON. Accept is you saying, and I'd like you to reply back to me in JSON. Authorization is basically your ID card proving you're allowed to send this letter. And user agent just says which app sent it. That's really it. Now, here's a pro tip that would have saved me so much time. Tools like Postman are great, but they often add some of these headers for you and then hide them. So if you're ever debugging something and you're stuck, make sure you find the button to show those hidden headers. The problem is very often hiding right there in plain sight. Okay, so our envelope is ready. Now we need to add the really specific delivery instructions. In the API world, we call these parameters. The first type is a query parameter. The easiest way to think about this is like a sticky note you put on the envelope. It says something like, hey, when you get to the giant products warehouse, I only want you to look in the electronics aisle. You can see it right there in the URL. It's everything after that little question mark. It's all about filtering and sorting. Path parameters are a little different. They aren't an optional sticky note. They are part of the actual address on the envelope. So you're not just asking for something from the electronics aisle anymore. You're saying, go to the user's building, find office number 42, and get me the file labeled orders. It's all about finding one very specific thing. All right, we've got our envelope, we've got our instructions. Now for the most important part, the actual message inside that envelope. This is the request body. So the body is the real data you want to send to the server. You use this when you're creating a new account or updating a profile or posting a comment. You're not just asking for information anymore. You are actively sending information. And here's the good news. While there are a few different formats for this message, like 99% of the time with modern APIs, you're just going to be writing it in JSON. It's pretty much the universal language these days. Now listen up, because this is a huge warning that will save you so much pain. If you're ever uploading a file using something called form data, whatever you do, do not set the content type header yourself. Your tool, like Postman, does it for you. If you try to overwrite it, you will break your request every single time. It's a classic trap. And here's a little power-up move for you. Sometimes your message needs dynamic data, like the exact time right now.
You can use a tiny bit of pre-request JavaScript to generate that value, store it real quick, and then pop it right into your request automatically. It is super, super useful. Okay, so we've covered the whole system, the envelope, the instructions, and the message inside. So what does this actually mean for you day to day? It means you can debug problems 10 times faster. I am not kidding. The next time you see an error, you won't panic. You'll just calmly ask yourself, okay, is the problem on the envelope? Is it in the instructions? Or is it something in the message itself? This mental model completely changes the game. It turns you from the person who's always asking for help into the person who finds the solution. Those confusing error messages, they just become a simple checklist. And that kind of confidence, well, that's what separates the pros from the people who are just starting out. So instead of worrying about what could go wrong, I want you to think about this. With this new clarity, what's that amazing feature you're finally going to build? What's that frustrating bug you're going to totally crush? What problem are you going to solve with your next perfectly addressed API call?